Well. You're welcome. Good evening. And it is the season for politics, and we have to talk, live, breathe, eat politics. Indeed, everything is politics. And I know some of us will say, "Oh, I hate politics. I don't like politics," but everything is about politics. And so we are looking at the race to Flagstaff House and its fallouts and all the the views you have about the whole thing. So with me in the studio, I have somebody who can really digest this thing. However, when he first came on the show, he came on the show as Dr. Ransford Jampo. No, today he's here as Professor Ransford Jampo, Director, Center for European Studies, University of Ghana, and still lectures at the Political Science Department. Still lectures as well. Very good. Well, my name is Nana Sakwa the Fourth, Akwamwedu Masahini, and also your host. When we come back, we are looking at the race to Flagstaff House fallouts. Thank you very much for staying. As I've already told you, we first appeared on the show. Well, the last time it was on my show when I interviewed him. He was Dr. Ransford Jampo. Today, he's Professor. You know, he's worked hard, he's earned it, and we say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good. But let me even digress a little bit. Center for European Studies, University of Ghana.
Yes.
So, just brief summary.
It's a new center that has been established. We know a lot about what pertains in our country, but oftentimes, immediately after school, people would want to leave to sojourn in Europe. What at all is in Europe that people want to go there? It's important that we provide a holistic education to our students and also ensure that there is some interdisciplinary, approach to research among our faculty members. And so we set up the University of Ghana set up the Center for European Studies to provide a platform where we'll be able to impart knowledge, about Europe to our students, and also delve into more research to be able to appreciate how things work elsewhere. If we have that knowledge, perhaps we'll be able to use that information to develop, our country too. So,
well, this is definitely not part of the show, but I'm reading this book so that I can, and I'll get the author is Francis S.E. Cujo Jr. and it's called The Great European Union Referendum Debate. It sounds very interesting. So when I finish reading it and I'm getting him in, I think I need to get you here.
I know.
I need to get you here too.
I'm interested.
But it sounds interesting. It's called The Great European Union Referendum Debate. And it's amazing. He wrote it in just 2016. So I think he was really on the lines waiting for it.
Book,
Doc. Prof. Well, Doc, but still Prof.
It's okay, it will take some time.
Let's take some time. Prof, 2016 campaign is in full blown now, if you can say. Let me just get your general view of how the campaigns are going now.
Well, campaign have started. It took a long time for it to get to where it is now. It is still peaking. It started with personality attacks, largely because the political parties refused to let us know what is known or what is hidden in their manifestos. They didn't want to launch their manifestos. For the first time in the political history, in the history of Ghana's Fourth Republic, you have the leading parties deciding to outdoor their manifesto less than 3 months to elections and all that. I mean, since then, the discussions have focused on the contents of the political party manifesto, and it's going on. And then also you have the various presidential aspirants moving from one region to the other. They've been through their own strongholds, and now they are crisscrossing, moving, venturing into the stronghold of their opponents to see whether they will be able to get some votes from there to top up whatever they may garner in their own strongholds and all that. And so this is what is going on. It is still not heated yet because of other things that, in my view, have diverted or are gradually diverting the focus on the campaign, to them. I'm referring to how you had about 17 political parties registering, and then what has happened to them, since they registered and all that. And the body politic is also faced with the problem of having to discuss. We are having to discuss the fallout from what the EC's decision and all that. But in my view, at this crucial time, we do not have ample time to be diverted. What we have to be doing as a nation, preparing towards election, is to subject the various promises and policy prescriptions within the various manifestos to strict proofs. We have to interrogate them and to be discussing them. These issues within the manifestos should be pushed to the front burner of public discourse so that people would be able to make informed choice as to who really is qualified to receive their mandate in the 2016 election. And so I see some of these things happening as well. They are diversionaries, but the point is also that I recognize the fact and appreciate the fact that it's a democracy. We believe in due processes and all that. And so that is that. Generally, this is what's going on within the body politic.
Doc, with this campaign season, I know Joy FM is doing it a lot where, they are picking manifesto and they're going, look, let's talk about health, let's talk about this, trying hard to, drive it issue-based. I know other stations are doing, maybe not all, but other stations are also doing where instead of just bringing the panelists and picking a newspaper and everybody saying yes, no, this time, come, this is your manifesto, let's go to page 10, it's about health, let's do, how are you going to build the hospitals, how are you going there's a bit of that this time. I don't know.
Yes, it's a transitional democracy, and we are climbing higher the ladder of democratic progression. And so each and every election here, there should be some improvement over the way things are done. And I'm happy that you have some of the media houses, trying to create that platform for the discussion of issues. Previously, it was he who was able to hurl insults at the fastest rate who got elected. But now you are pushing people, you are pushing parliamentary aspirants and those who are seeking power to be focusing on the discussion of the key issues, the bread and butter issues that confront Ghanaians. In fact, democracy that cannot deliver on bread and butter issues is meaningless. And so it is important that these things are done. And I'm happy that gradually we are introducing some of these platforms, into the body politic for the discussion of issues. We are growing as a democracy, and so things should be improving. And so that's why I was appointed in time. Now I've been disappointed with some of the things, some of the occurrences, some of the happenings within the body politic, particularly in the lead up to this coming election, that tried to relapse our democratic, advancement. For the first time in the history of the body politic, like I indicated earlier on, you have political parties deciding to release their manifestos at that late hour. It is an attempt, and unfortunately, they have been able to compel or force Ghanaians to accept this unacceptable practice as normal. It's never happened before. We know when manifestos are released. we know that if for nothing at all, they don't get released less than 3 months into elections. If you release it that late, if you look at the posturing of the political elites, and sometimes you monitor some of their utterances, they were even trying to say that it's okay for us to go into elections without even manifestos because nobody reads. And I said, who told you that nobody reads manifestos? Okay, and so we have oftentimes in the lead up to elections issued out manifestos long time, giving people time to read and to digest and all that. We should be thinking of improving that practice and not to be deteriorating that practice and all that. I thought that happened wasn't something, it wasn't a feather in a cap at all, and like I indicated earlier on, it was a step or a step that relapsed our democratic advancement. And as a fledgling democracy, as a country trying to climb higher the ladder of democratic progression, we shouldn't be doing some of these things. We should learn from the best practices and even seek to improve upon what we have achieved, not to retrogress.
This may be an academic question, so you have the option to say pass. But is our democracy getting too technical for the average voter? Because you realize that this democracy that we are practicing, that we borrowed from the West, is for highly literate people. It's for really highly literate people where you can read and understand, know what a manifesto is, hold people to say, look, no, not again, because this has been in your manifesto for the last 4 elections. It hasn't been done, and therefore I'm not going to vote. I mean, but we're not seeing too much of that. That's what I'm asking. Is the democracy, developing faster than the electorate who have to?
I'm not too sure. I mean, if you want to talk about the manifesto,
not manifesto, but just the overall democracy and the politics we are practicing.
I think if you look at various studies that have been conducted, the Afrobarometer surveys and all that, I mean, they tell you that democracy has come to stay. People prefer democracy as the best form of government to dictatorship and all that. It's come to stay. It is up to the political elites to operationalize it and to ensure that its basic tenets gets ingrained in the psyche of people. And so again, if you want to look at manifesto, for instance, and you want to say that people cannot read and write, some political parties have been able to translate their manifestos into Braille so that those who cannot read would still, visually impaired, would still have access to it. Serious political parties are also thinking about translating the contents of their manifestos into local languages, or even if you wouldn't do that, as you go about prosecuting your own campaign, if you go to the hinterlands, you speak their language, and in so doing, you communicate the manifesto contents in a local language for people to understand, so that they'll be able to make a choice as to who to vote for. So I don't think that it is something that we cannot work with. It is quite alien. We had to go for it because world over it's been seen as the preferred form of government. But I know there is a way we can operationalize it, we can work with it such that gradually it will become the game, in town. It will become, the tenets will become ingrained in our psyche. We would make mistakes, and it is pardonable because it's a transitional democracy. But the political elites leading this, civil society and media and all others must ensure that we sustain the fight to get democracy ingrained in our psyche. We sustain it and never to give up. And it is only in so doing that I think we'll be going places as a country.
Okay, let's leave the academic and then come back. EC, dismissing or taking 13 or 14 political parties say, look, you haven't qualified, you didn't dot your I, you didn't cross your T, you don't know where you live, your date of birth is wrong, the triplicate wasn't signed, the slightest thing, you're out of here. Two school of thoughts. One saying, well, if you're running for this high office, you can't be afford to make this mistake. The next one too is saying that, no, well, per the EC's laws, you're supposed to give them, a chance to correct it. But then here we are with, lawsuit upon lawsuit. What's going to happen? What's your views on this?
Well, we didn't need Barack Obama to come to Ghana to say Africa doesn't need strong men, Africa needs strong institutions. The challenge within many African countries, including Ghana, is that we have the best of rules, we have the best of laws, but these rules, these laws do not get implemented. When we say we should build strong institutions, we are not saying organizations should be built with concrete and blocks and iron rods and all that. The argument of strong institutions is simple. First of all, there should be rules. Second, the rules should be well known. Third, the rules should be implemented. Fourth, the rules should be internalized. So rules should be internalized. It means you allow the implementation of the rules such that they become part and parcel of the lives of the people. Then you said the other argument is that rules should be predictable, as in if you run afoul of the rule, we know the consequence and all that. It is when these basic tenets of the institutionalist school of thought are implemented that we say we have strong institutions. Now, over the years, we have known that if you have listened to Dr. Kweju Afarijan carefully, I'm sure that you may have heard at one point in time he's saying that, look, if I want to implement the rules governing political parties in Ghana, not even the NDC and MPP will qualify to exist. And so, for him, because it was still a fledgling democracy, and we are nurturing political parties, he felt like turning a blind eye on the electoral rules that regulate the political parties. But it doesn't mean that we have to continue on that tangent in perpetuity. And so, the fact that we have it enshrined in our constitution, freedom of association, does not mean it's not a license for the proliferation of amorphous election machines. The kind of political parties that we have in Ghana here are election machines. Those who said we want a multi-party democracy said we wanted political parties worth their salt to exist, to make us a multi-party democracy. They never said we're looking for election machines. Election machines are political organizations that only springs up during elections, and then they are not found again in between elections. But let me tell you, the 1992 Constitution identifies the functions that political parties are supposed to be performing. Election is only one minute function of political parties. If political parties are going to be performing their role, as exists in theory and as enshrined in our constitution, then we would have a very good place Ghana will be a very fine place to live. Political parties are supposed to function as agents of interest aggregation. They are supposed to function as agents of interest articulation. They are supposed to function as agents of political education and political socialization. Political parties in other advanced jurisdictions, you know what they do? When there is national crisis, they go conduct research as to how the crisis can be dealt with, and then they make their findings known to the ruling government. It's a function of political party. They are supposed to also ensure that they recruit and groom and train right people to lead us. Election is only one, but how many of the over 20 political parties we have are able to function like this? We are looking for political parties and not election machines. And what is a multi-party democracy? Let me define it. The classical definition of a multi-party democracy is a kind of a political system in which more than two political parties, listen to me carefully, more than two political parties of more or less equal strength exist, such that it becomes difficult for only one political party to win a clear majority of any national election without support from the others. Now, in our part of the world, we say we are multi-party democracy, but one party can win election and damn the rest. and all that. And so my point is that when I saw that 17 people had submitted their nomination form, I said, no, Ghana is not Mali. Mali has around 104 political parties. Okay, are these political parties really going to be on our ballot box? Are they really worth their salt? Are they really political parties? Have they been able to establish branches in all the 2/3 of the districts as the electoral rules or our constitution prescribe? Have they been able, or do they periodically submit their audited accounts, to the Electoral Commission and all that? If not, okay, let's see. Now, it came to just filling of forms and all that. And if you read, I think CI 94, there are some sections about of it. It gives the returning officer the power to reject your nomination if he thinks that maybe the processes have not been properly followed and you've not filled the forms properly. You have to communicate it to the entire commission and they will have to decide. It is a rule. And so they went according to it, and then they said, well, some people have been disqualified. Now, that is somebody deciding to implement the rule. At one point in time, somebody decided I wasn't going to do it. But I'm saying that we cannot continue on that tangent, in perpetuity. So, those who feel that the implementation of the rule has been done in a manner that undermines their rights, they are free to seek redress in court. And it is so, I am happy that, well, they did not take to the streets, but they are going to court. So I'm looking forward to the court's judgment. I want to see whether the court will say that
on Friday PPP is going to court. So
well, I'm looking forward to the court's judgment. That's tomorrow, and I want to see whether the court will tell me that the EC erred in trying to enforce the rules that governs election. If they say so, well, so be it. Then we will know how to proceed, as a nation. But my point is that as a student of political institutions, the rules must always be implemented. We live in a country where everybody knows somebody, and so when people run afoul of the rules, nobody implement the rules, and so there is it.
But some of the parties are saying that per CI 94, once you submit your form and there's an error on it, you're given time to change it. So they're saying that, look, we submitted our form, and bear in mind that the EC gave 2 days for all the 17 parties to submit their forms, which means they've looked at their capacity and think that, look, 2 days is enough for us to vet everybody's documents. So for them to turn around and say, well, there wasn't enough time to vet the document, seems to say, well, then it's your problem and not my problem.
Yeah, but you see, some of the errors, as we are told, were criminally incompetent error. I mean, some of them were criminal errors, and I mean, if there's any expression like that, but some of them have even been reported to the security agencies and all that. Well, the power of statutory interpretation of rules lies within the bosom of the court. And so if somebody feels that in implementing the rules, it was done in a manner that affected them negatively or unduly and undermined their right or infringed on their rights, they are free to go to court. But like I said, I favor the situation where we'll be a country not only of rules, but a country that we implement and respect rules. It is only when we do that that I think our democracy would continue to grow. And so let them go to court. But I'm very happy that the courts have also made it clear to us. Chief Justice, you've made it clear to us that these litigations wouldn't in any way affect or undermine the day that we've set for ourselves to hold elections. And so let justice be dispensed with, let these matters be dispensed with expeditiously, and let everybody know, let us at the end of the day know those who are really qualified to contest. But those who have been disqualified, let them also go to Nana Akufo-Addo, let them go to President Mahama, Let them go to Ivor Green Street. Let them go to Jacob Osei and find out how these people were able to fill their form and ensure that they go through the processes rightly. How did they do it? Let them find out. Because I know some of them, they know, well, we've made a mistake. They were supposed to produce some information. We will not do it, but we know the EC, there's no way the EC will disqualify, so let us ignore and all that. I think these things will have to stop as a nation and then move on, ensuring that rules of the game are always implemented.
Prof, another issue that's come up a lot is a debate amongst the two main contenders, if I'm allowed to say that, the two biggest parties, MPP, NDC, so they are flag bearers. And the debate doesn't seem to happen, with flimsy excuses. I'm busy, I'm not available, I'm busy. Well, now the president has called for an invitation, on 3 different occasions, but now the MPP says, well, forget it. We wanted to debate, you're not available, so now we are also not available. Number one, first of all, is it necessary to have a presidential debate?
Yeah, why not? Again, before I even say more on that, this is also one of the surreptitious attempt on the part of the political elite to relapse our democratic advancement. Since 2000, we've always conducted presidential debates prior to elections. So we can only improve, not to go back. We can only progress, not to retrogress and all that. For the first time, you haven't this particular issue coming up to debate or not to debate. You're asking whether it is good to debate. It is very good. It is very good to debate because, first of all, the quest for issues-based politics, we cannot achieve it unless we have debate, a healthy contest of ideas on independent and credible platform where people know that they will be subjected to strict proof for whatever they say, where people know that they cannot lie, where people know that they cannot go and say anything wishy-washy. On partisan rallies, you can go and hurl insult. You can go and say all manner of things. Your supporters would support you, they would cheer you on and all that, up and all that. But on debate platform, you'll be subjected to straight proofs, and after the debate, what happens is the discussion of issues. So first of all, debate is good because it promotes discussion of issues within the body politics instead of insult. 2, debate is very good because it serves as an accountability mechanism. Okay, that people come together, presidential hopefuls sit and discuss issues or answer questions coming from the ordinary people, and then whatever they say is used against them, or you use whatever they say to demand that they be implemented. It's an important accountability mechanism. Debate is also good because it contributes to lowering political tension that always peaks in the lead up to election. Seeing presidential aspirant on one platform engage in a healthy contest of ideas and exchanging pleasantries and smiling, cracking jokes here and there sends a calming down effect, to their supporters who may be fighting. After all, look at the people we are supporting. They are not even fighting. They are engaged in a healthy contest of ideas. Again, debates empowers citizenry and enhance their right enhance the opportunity in exercising their right of choice. Okay, they are through a debate able to decipher the respective positions of the various presidential aspirants, and they are empowered with information based on which they can, vote. And so within democracies, within countries that are climbing higher the ladder of democratic progression, I mean, debates are very essential. So, to debate or not to debate shouldn't be a decision for presidential aspirants to make, especially given the fact that they are serving or they are seeking power from the ordinary citizenry who are the repository of the power they are looking for. So my point is that if debate is good for the citizenry, then those seeking to serve the citizenry, it shouldn't be within their, it is not their right to say whether they want to do it or they don't want to do it. It shouldn't be their decision. It should be the citizen to demand. So it is you and I, it is civil society, it is the media, it is the ordinary people who know the relevance of debate who would have to tell those contestants that, look, it is not in your power to say you will do it or you won't do it. If you won't do it, get out. But we want it because we want to know what exactly you want to do for us. Should we give the mandate to you so that based on that we can cast our vote?
On that note, I'm going to take a quick break. Don't move at all. We're coming back, and I want to find out from Dr. that is democracy costing us too much? And can we make it a bit cheaper? Don't move. Well, thank you very much for staying. The race to Flagstaff House and the fallouts that is coming. And just before the break, Prof, well, the question was to debate or not to debate, and Prof is saying, look, there's no such thing as to debate or not to debate. It's to debate. So we just have to find out when and where and the modalities. But coming to think about it, viewers, that this, it's just like applying for a job. I'm coming here and I call Kosichim and I say, well, I don't want an interview. I'll just give me a date and I'll start working. I mean, I don't know if I'm making it too simple, but they are applying for a job.
That is how it looks like. Applying for a job, but telling the one to give you the job that I don't want to attend an interview. Just give me the job. And I'm saying that politicians and political elites in Ghana have taken us for granted. They've taken the citizenry, the ultimate repository of the sovereign power they are looking for. They've taken us all for a ride because they know we are docile. We will not, we don't know, we won't talk and all that. Otherwise, why do you...
My first question applies to that. The democracy has become too technical for the average.
No, it isn't. No, I'm not sure. It hasn't been that technical. If you ask ordinary people,
because like now you broke. Because even I raised my hand. You've broken it down for me to think that no, the debate. You should debate. You're applying for a job.
No, yeah. You see, what the politician of today is seeking to do is to seek for election at the expense of institutionalizing other sound democratic practices. Okay? Seeking for power at the expense of institutionalizing democratic culture. But election is only one minute aspect of democracy and good governance. It's only, election is not a sufficient condition for democratic consolidation. When you are consolidating democracy, you are thinking beyond election. So I'm saying that politicians should not always be thinking about winning elections. Debate, it may not even win this election, but it's about a solid democratic culture that must also be institutionalized.
So should we make it mandatory?
Why not? I mean, like I said, if it is good for the people, and look at the timing for the release of their manifesto. You release your manifesto very late, go to a platform so you can outline and debate it. You said, no, I prefer to do so on rally grounds. But we all know that no meaningful discussion of manifestos can take place on rally grounds. It is only during debate platform that you can engage in a healthy contest and discussion of some of these ideas. So my point is that Ghanaians, I think I'm telling all Ghanaians, we are being taken for granted, and that to debate or not to debate is not a decision for presidential aspirants to make. It is a decision for we Ghanaians to make. particularly so because they are looking for that sovereign power that belongs to us. If they are looking for that sovereign power that belongs to us, then it is our right to know how they would use that power should we give it to them. And we can know some of these things objectively on debate platform. So we must demand. I'm saying this to the shame of civil society. I say this to the shame of those who know these things and they have kept quiet. They should be issuing statements. They should be making calls on the various presidential aspirants that look, it's not a matter of choice. I expect the Christian Council, I expect the other religious organizations, I expect the other key identifiable organizations and groupings within the body politic to rise up and say that it was very wrong for you to issue or release your manifesto at that late hour. We should condemn it. It is also very wrong for you to be thinking that, look, there is debate, but I won't do it and all that. It's not their choice. It is our choice. We should be able to tell them that if you don't debate, we won't vote for you, because we want to know objectively what you want to do. We want you to articulate your ideas, and then let's see how the other party responds to. You see, in the process of once you articulate your ideas, the other party, if your idea is solid and strong, or it is just useless, the other party is able to expose for all of us to be able to have a firm grasp of who has mastery over the issues that confront us. But now we don't know whether somebody says, well, I'll do it. Somebody say, I won't do it. The other person say, maybe. And I think that we as a citizenry should show the way. We as civil society should show the way. We as media, we in academia, we should be calling the shots. To debate or not to debate, it's not a decision that should be left entirely to those seeking to serve us.
In a debate, things like body language, tonation, and stuff like that, should we be bothered about all these things in a debate?
Well, the tonation, body language, oftentimes I have witnessed all the debates that have been held in Ghana since 2000 up to now. I've watched them, I've participated in them and all that. Well, oftentimes you see prior to the debate, the various presidential hopefuls are made to sit in one room, they exchange pleasantries, they talk, they crack jokes among themselves. During the debate platform, they are serious, but during breaks, you see them, the body language is cordial and all that. You see, we do not, the only time that Ghanaians will stop going to prayer centers to pray when there is going to be election, the only time Ghanaians will stop storing or hoarding foodstuff, hoarding gari, water, palm oil and all that. The only time some politicians would get plane tickets to their children, their family to fly out of the country when there's going to be election is only when tension in the lead up to election is reduced. And one of the critical means through which tension in the lead up to election gets reduced is during presidential debates, because that is a decent platform. You don't go there to insult. You don't go there to make allegations that cannot be substantiated. You don't go there to say all manner of things that you yourself, the next time you are said, oh, I was just saying something. When I saw the crowd, the euphoria got me, into saying all those things. It's a serious platform. And so I'm saying that Ghanaians need to be treated with seriousness. And as we grow, we should think about institutionalizing some of these practices, to become part of our democratic culture. We shouldn't be thinking about going back. Let us go through elections. We are looking for power, and so we are going to the people who will give us the power. Let's not seek power through elections at the expense of neglecting other salient elements of democratic culture.
So back to my question. So now we need to find a way of letting the electorate know what their rights and responsibilities and their ownership to this whole part is. Because the majority of us really feel like, we are the servants, and, you are going to hire your master. So, you keep quiet and, listen to what master says. And, majority. So, I'm sure there are millions and millions of Ghanaians who haven't thought about it as, look, these guys are really seeking for employment, and they have to tell us what they bring on board.
Now, who calls them? Political parties, as I told you earlier, one of their functions is that they are agents of political socialization. You know what that entails? What that entails is that they will also have to socialize, educate people about their rights, educate people for them to know that we should stop being overly subservient and overly grateful to presidents and political leaders for taking our own money to render service for us. So a road is constructed and people want to die. Okay, a KVIP has been built and you are overly grateful. It is your money. Okay, so that is one duty of a political party, to educate the people. It is also the duty of the National Commission for Civic Education to help get these things ingrained in the psyche of people, letting people know our rights and responsibilities, letting people appreciate some of these things. These are people who are seeking to go and exercise the power that you have for you. In ancient Athenian Greek, people, they practice what we call direct, unmediated democracy. That's what we call democracy in its classical form. People met under one big tree. They didn't need President Mahama. They didn't need Nana Akufo-Addo. They were deciding how to govern themselves so directly. But with the astronomical growth in size of population, you cannot have one big tree where all the close to 27 million Ghanaians will meet and decide. That's why we are practicing what we call representative democracy. We choose people we want to go and we give them
what we would have said under the tree.
We to go and decide for us. Okay, now they are exercising a fiduciary trust. It's a power we have given to them. And I'm saying that if I want to give you power, and I say I want to hear what you intend doing with that power, and you tell me, well, I don't want to do it, so you become lackadaisical about it, I have the right to fire you.
On this idea about the idea about the tree, Prof, how many MPs, certainly not mine, has ever come to say, listen, on the issue of GMO, on the issue of cohabitation rights, where do you stand? So that when I go and the votes come, I can rise up and say, look, in Edumasan or in Esiojamai, we don't like GMO, or as for us, we are for GMO and therefore I'm voting for us. So, I mean, who are they represented? I don't know if any MP has a surgery where they meet their people to represent them.
Well, I don't know, but Andrew Haywood identified 4 main models of representation. He talks about the mandate model, the delegate model, the trusteeship, and a resemblance model. If he talks about mandate model, he says that members of parliament, okay, a representative is somebody who may have sold to his constituents a certain policy prescription. If you vote for me, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Now, the moment he's voted for, he goes to parliament and then he has the mandate of the people to prosecute or implement the kinds of things he said he was going to do. The kinds of things he marketed to you when he was looking for a power. So a mandate model representative may not necessarily consult his people. Then there is a delegate model. A delegate is somebody who has no choice of its own. He has no decision of his own. Whatever, he mirrors the views of his constituents. So a delegate, to be an MP, would always have to go back to his constituents. They said, we are going to vote, we want to vote on this. Where should I cast? How should I cast my vote? A delegate will have to always mirror the views of his constituents. Then you have the resemblance model of representation. It simply argues that those who typifies a larger group of people that they represent are able to better serve their interests, as to say people who are physically impaired or women are able to better represent women. It may not necessarily be so. Then there is also the trusteeship model. Trustee is somebody who is given the power to go and represent his people on the assumption that he knows what is good and what is in the best interest of his constituents. And so a trustee must not necessarily wouldn't necessarily always have to go and consult his constituents. But a good member of parliament is the one who is able to combine trusteeship with the other models of presentation. Okay, if you read Hannah Pitkin, it says that when the constituents are better placed or are better seized with a certain information that the trustee, the MP hasn't got, then the MP would have to consult them. Or occasionally, there should be some avenues for you to interact with your people to know their mindset and all that.
But should you know how your MP votes on issues?
Well, in advanced democracy, sometimes you have to know because he's exercising your power. So you have to know. And in some other democracies, they expose how people voted, the lines, how they voted, on specific issues and all that. But truly, if you are exercising the powers of the people, then some way, somehow, there should be a way that you have to meet them. Not always meeting and pandering to whatever they are saying and all that, because some of them may not even know what they may be talking about and all. But occasionally, as issues that goes to the core, of the people, affect the core of the people within the constituency, there should be a way to meet them, to tap into their views.
Want to ask Prof, in a debate, should it be the entire team to explain issues, or should just be the presidential hopefuls? This is Eric in Spintex.
Oh, well, the debates that we've held so far and over the world, it's been the presidential aspirants debating among themselves. So then they master their own manifesto and policy prescription, and then they talk about it.
Patrick in Kumasi says, may I know who calls for the debate?
What?
May I know who calls for the debate? This is from Patrick in Kumasi.
Well, presidential debates, in my view, have been organized since 2000, and in my view, if it's been organized since 2000, then gradually we are getting it institutionalized on our political calendar. And so if that is the case, then it should be there that it gets institutionalized. And we all know in the US, that you go through elections, but definitely there will be debate. The Institute of Economic Affairs has organized debate since 2000. They've gained the experience, they've learned learning curves, and they know how to go about it. And if that is the case, let us institutionalize it on our political calendar. And I don't care where there are even multiple debates. It's happened. Like you said, section of the media are giving the platform to aspirants to articulate and to meet, on the same set and to dialogue and to discuss issues, debate among themselves. Multiple debates would force the issues into the body politic, so that our politics would not be based on insult. Insult, mudslinging, and personality attacks are those kinds of things that kind of play on the emotional keyboards of people, and then oftentimes fuel tension. And anytime there is tension, there's oftentimes also the threat of democratic relapse. And so that's the reason why anytime there is going to be an election, people are afraid that something is going to happen. But I think we've practiced this multi-party democracy and the Fourth Republic for over 20 years. And so we should be able to relax when there is going to be an election. We shouldn't always be going to church to pray. We shouldn't always be hoarding food. We shouldn't always be thinking about flying out of the country and all that. Yesterday I was just having a chat with a conversation with a friend who wanted to ship some items from the US to Ghana, and was asking me, but I want to wait till after December 7th. I said, why? I said, I have to assure you that nothing is going to happen. Okay, so my point is that it is important that we do all we can to lower political tension, so that the fear of democratic relapse in the lead up to election would subside. One key means through which we can lure political attention is when candidates meet and engage in a healthy contest of ideas.
This one says, good evening. I do agree with Prof, but I think debates are organized by an organized body. So I believe anyone cannot call for a debate at any point in time, but it should be well structured, planned, calculated, and mandatory for all presidential candidates. But my question is, does the president have the right to call for a debate at any time? And vice versa. Benjamin from Takrady. So that's what Prof is saying, that we should organize it, set a date and time, and probably, maybe Joy FM has their debate, CTFM has their debate, IEA has a debate. So once you're going through a presidential run, you know that there are 4 debates ahead of you that you need to handle. Maybe one can base theirs on economy, one base theirs on agriculture, one base theirs on social, and so be it. But once they are applying for a job, they must go through an interview just like you and I would have done. Even if your father is giving you a job, sometimes they interview you. I mean, your own father's job, they go through an interview, you come with me here. So they should go through it. Thank you so much. But Tanti's Fashion, they make my shirts for the show, and they are 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001. They're just by Nyao Clinic. And they will send your shirts, male or female, wherever you are. Give them a call, visit their showroom, they'll send your attire to you wherever you are. But let me say thank you very much and congratulations to Professor Jampo. Prof, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you very much for watching.